Welcome back to Dad's Foxbody Garage. Just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone that gave me comments regarding my last, or 2 episodes ago, when I reached out to everybody and asked them for advice on things that were going on with Calypso. I was out of ideas, and you guys really came through for me. I think the biggest or the most popular comment was regarding spark plug gap. Seems like a lot of people out there are running blowers, different kind of blowers. Usually sounds like the centrifugal type, and they're running anywhere from 28 to 32 on spark plug gap. They said any more than that and flame gets blown out. So I reduced the gap on mine from 40 to 30, took it out, and it appears to have cleaned that up. I did miss the first time I got on it, or stumble, or whatever you want to call it, up around 5, but after that, clean as a whistle when it got up there. So thank you for that. The other thing that was interesting was I received a couple comments about my carburetor not being a supercharger carburetor. And my first reaction was, it's not a blow-through system like some people are, you see on YouTube, like, Brutal has his Calypso with a blow-through design. I'm like, so it really doesn't apply here. But, once I started digging into it, I went down that rabbit hole and discovered there is a difference. And it has to do with the power valve. So don't quote me on anything I'm about to tell you about power valves, but this is my general understanding about how they work. So a normal carburetor, the base of the carburetor, its highest vacuum, if you were to check that at that port, is at idle. And as you increase throttle, that vacuum goes down. And when you reach a certain point, the spring on the power valve is able to go to its natural rest position, which is open, and you get mid-range and high-end fuel after that point. So that being said, on a root style setup like I have, you always have high vacuum under the carb. It never goes away. When you open a throttle, it doesn't change. It might change, but it never decreases that much. If anything, I think the vacuum probably increases with the RPM from the blower. So what they suggest is changing, instead of going with, I think they call it like a boost reference power valve that looks completely different, and it's like for turbo applications and stuff. You actually change the input point for the vacuum, which you move the vacuum source to the intake manifold. You plug the port in the carburetor and actually drill a hole to insert a tube into the power valve port. So the intake will read vacuum at cruising, and then it actually goes to boost, and it'll give the power valve the signal to close, or the spring to open, I should say. And then you start getting that mid-range and high-end fuel. So right now, in theory, I should be running lean when it's higher in the RPM, but I'm not seeing that on the gauge. But it's probably not getting the smoothest transition because I don't have that power valve that's supposed to work in the middle there and change as the engine load. Like, say I'm pulling a trailer or something like that and it gets more under load and your vacuum changes, the power valve is what would give you that difference, a little extra fuel. So I have a carburetor apart that I pulled off the wall, and I'm just going to show you this one here. So on your primary side, this is your primary side. This is just one of the carbs I pulled off my wall there, my wall art. Here's our power valve. It's got a little spring in there, so when it's in this position, it's open. So when there's vacuum in this little chamber here, which comes through a port down the bottom, it sucks that shut. So there's no fuel, added fuel, being mixed in. Well, when the vacuum gets less in this little pocket here, this spring starts opening up, and then that gives it through these channels. I believe it's these two down here. So what they suggest, I'm gonna get my pointer here, is you plug this port up down on the bottom there. See if you can see that. Maybe I need a light. There we go. So you plug this port up down on the bottom there with some JB weld, because that goes down to the bottom here. And then you come in from the side, and you don't want to get into your venturis here, but right in this area here, you want to drill a hole that pops out in this area here. And they say use a 3/16 brake line. So, you know, drill that with something a little smaller than 3/16, or, you know, and that's the way I would do it. I'd go a little smaller, and then I'd run my 3/16 reamer through there, and then probably push or tap that tube in, put a little Loctite on it. So then my vacuum for that port there can be controlled off my intake. And on my blower intake, I just happen to have a plate on the back where if I had a cogged belt, I could have a blow off valve there, but on these serpentine belts, they don't run a blow off. You know, if you have backfire, the belt slips. Keeps you from launching your blower through the hood. So I'm going to take that plate off, drill and tap an NPT hole, and put a hose barb fitting in there, and get a piece of vacuum line, rubber line, and run that up to my new port here. And according to the directions in the manual, I should have a working power valve again. A little bit nervous about drilling into a carburetor, but I think if all else fails and I screw this one up, I do have a couple of those bodies. The bodies are the same up on my wall over here, where I could theoretically replace it. But I'm not too worried about it, because that's the other thing, is I was thinking about modifying one of these for to get rid of the choke horn. See if that improves things, because everybody I've talked to talks about airflow and how I need a bigger air filter. And I already have a 4-inch cowl, and I really don't want a 6-inch cowl. I think that, you know, we just put all this time and effort into this hood. I don't want to be changing anything up. So I think by removing that choke horn off of there, and maybe going with a drop base of like a 1-inch drop base and a bigger element, I'm hoping that'll open things up a little bit. But that's going to be the project today. I don't know if I'm going to video each, you know, have like a time lapse or anything like that. Maybe I will, if I can set up a table. Running out of room to do stuff in here again. Ready to clean, need to clean the garage again. But it is kind of a crappy day outside, and I don't want to push either car outside to give myself more room. So maybe I'll just take some photos along the way, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll be able to make a a little spot or clear off the top of the workbench or something like that, or the top of the toolbox. But that's what I'm going to try to do, and I think that'll get me what I need. Anybody out there that's ever cut a choke horn off, let me know how that went, because I've heard like mixed feelings, how some people say it never ran right again, but other people just say, yeah, do it. I think you need to still keep your vent the same height as the other vent, or at least, you know, maybe just leave it the way it is, and take the whole horn down except for that vent. And I know you don't want to get those little fine chips down inside of everything, and you don't want to make it look like a hack job either. But I know they make center section bodies out there that don't have the horn on it. You can buy them brand new. They're $100 and some, but you know, if I can modify this one, I'll modify this one and see how it goes. You know, I might change carbs down the road anyways, because from what I read, if you increase to more boost other than the standard pulley, you're going to want more carb, and it comes into the, what was it, the 825 range if you do the math, 825 CFM. So I just happen to have a 3 1/4 pulley. I got that through the blower shop. They're an awesome company to deal with, and I'm probably not going to do that right away. Maybe on the next rendition, or maybe next year. I really don't want to blow my rings or a hole through a piston or something like that right after I got it running. We'd like to drive it around and enjoy it for a bit. But you know, Calypso 3.0, version 3.0, I'd like to get like to start putting together a dart block, and probably like a 331, and maybe a little bit bigger cam, maybe like an actual blower cam versus just the Ford B cam. And then, you know, with the stronger, you know, lower with the forged rods and all that, then I'll put the smaller pulley on. So but I'm just afraid if I do that now, I'm just gonna wreck everything I just did. It's not the smartest thing, but I wanted to get that pulley before I couldn't get it anymore. You know, Holly doesn't stock a lot of parts for these already, even though I just bought it 6 months ago. So I'm probably going to get a gasket kit and maybe a couple of wear items for this, just to put them on the shelf, because you know, I don't plan on ever getting rid of this car or engine. Waited a long time to do this project, so well, as far as that goes, I don't plan on getting rid of that one either. Hope you guys all watched the Mustang Memories car show. It was really cool, but I do believe I like the Fox Fest better. If it wouldn't have rained at the Fox Fest, it would have been just an absolute riot. But it was so cool, even though it did rain. It's just a great group of guys, you know, the Foxbody community. You know, I love the comments again. It's what makes all this stuff even more fun, you know. So I'm gonna get working on this. Enough of me rambling, and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. So this is what we got so far. I'm gonna turn it around here so I can see what I'm doing. So here's our power valve pocket, right? Original vacuum port was right here. Comes through the base. You can see I plugged that and peened it over, so that plug will never come out. Well, unless you want it to come out. So then I added a new port, which is right here, and I just hugged the wall and drilled and reamed that for a 3/16 brake line. And the brake line I had was already bent, so I thought that was pretty cool. because it'll be out of the way of the throttle linkage. And then I will go get a nut and ferrule to go on that for 3/16. And I need to get a hose barb fitting for the plate on the back of the manifold, which I haven't taken off yet. So that should give us our manifold vacuum reference to make our power valve work correctly. And you know, I think that should work. But I'm gonna run up to depot. I think I have done all I can do. Before I go, I'm going to clean up some gassy rags so we don't start a fire. And I'll be back to you in a minute. Alright, just want to give you an update on where we're at. So unfortunately, I couldn't find any 3/16 ferrule connections where I connect it to a barb. So I guess I'm just going to have to slide it on the tube. As you can see here, I Loctited the tube in. If that doesn't work, I'll try to bend it out and flare it. But I'm thinking if I put a little glue or Permatex or Loctite or something on that tube with the hose, it's not going to go anywhere. I can't imagine the pressures being that much. I mean, under boost right now it's only under, you know, 6 or whatever pounds, around 6 pounds. So hopefully that's not enough to push that off. If it is, then I'll have to come up with a plan B. Was thinking about running a die down it and then putting a little clamp on it. I could still probably do that. Just something so it bites on there. Took off the plate on the back of the intake, which leads into the plenum under the blower. Drilled and tapped a 1/4 inch NPT with the hose barb on that. So I'm going to put that guy back on. So that should give us our manifold reference. And I'm just going to start putting it together now and see if she fires back up and everything's good, no leaks. And not sure if I'm going to take it out today. But that'll be it for this modification. I'm sure it's going to work. I mean, it's plumbed correctly. Whether or not it likes it, you know, with more fuel, you know, that's a whole nother story. But that's part of the fun of messing with this stuff, guys. At least that's what I think. You know, you're getting it running, and now let's tweak it a little bit. You know, it's always a process. You know, I got a couple buddies that's, you know, they do the same thing. You know, I think one's got a carburetor off his car right now going through it, and the other one's playing with jets. So you know, always trying to, you know, refine everything and get it right where you want it. So alright, I'm gonna start working and getting this together, and I'll catch up with you in a minute. Alright guys, she's back together. Got everything hooked up. Got the key on. Let's see what we got. Alright guys, I couldn't resist it, and I had to take Calypso out. So verdict is Calypso rips. Okay, yeah, I did go without an air cleaner. I just put it on because I don't want anything falling down the carburetor. And the hose did not blow off. As you can see, the hose under there is still connected. Guess you could see it better when the air cleaner wasn't on there. But yeah, interesting thing, you know, I'm watching my gauges and everything, and you don't see much of boost in second gear. Like, I guess that's normal. You hit third gear, and oh yeah, you know, there's 6 pounds. In fourth gear, there's 6 pounds, but by then, you know, you're ready to go into orbit before you even think about fifth gear. I mean, I need to tighten this front end up before I start really getting into it. But just clear as a bell. AFR looks a little bit on the rich side now, but just absolutely loved it. You know, I think I'd rather be a little rich than lean. And went around the, you know, there's like a 6 mile square here. Not very densely populated. And of course didn't, you know, break any speed limits or anything. But yeah, really runs good, guys. I can't thank you enough for your help on this one. My next one is the transmission. You know, I need to try to see if there's any more adjustment in that clutch cable, because it is really low and a bit difficult to get into gear sometimes. And the trans itself is just, it doesn't, I've only ground it a couple times, but it's just hard to get into gear. I don't know if that's the way these T5s are. The last stick I had was, I had a couple Porsches, like late 90s, early 2000s. And those shifters, they almost like snapped into gear. You got close to it and it would just click, click, you know. Where this one, you have to actually shift it. So I don't know if that's normal, or maybe if the trans is on its way out, or maybe it was before I even got it. I don't know. But I'm going to say the engine is good. I am going to try to get a drop-down base and a thicker filter, so I can free that up. I'm not messing with that choke horn, guys, if I can get it to breathe with an air cleaner on there. I just, it runs so good, and I know it's able to run well. I don't know if it'll run well with an air cleaner, but I know it's able to just run flawless. So really happy with that. Again, just want to thank you guys for the comments. That power valve thing was really, really interesting, and you know, it works flawlessly now. It just, the whole car stands up, you know, when you roll into it. So that's it for now. You know, probably the next thing I'm going to do, like I said, is the trans, and you know, I might do a video, but I'm not going to be videoing under the car, screwing around with that stuff. But we'll come up with something. Maybe we'll do some cosmetic stuff on her. You know, we'll see. But thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe. All the subscriptions really do help. I saw the numbers are starting to go up a little bit again. Really happy about that. Again, 1,000 is our goal. Once we hit 1,000, YouTube actually starts giving us a little bit of money towards the project, because everything right now is through sales of t-shirts, sweatshirts, and some model cars we got, and Dad's Foxbody Garage sticker, like the one you see on the windshield here. Well, actually on both cars. But that's pretty much how we're doing it, guys. That and wheeling, dealing car parts. You know, buying, selling, selling for a fair price, of course. I always try to take care of Mustang guys, especially Foxbody guys. But I guess that's it. I got nothing else to say. I'm still giddy and shaky. I'm really happy how she's running. So thanks again. We'll see you in the next one.